Xiao Naiwa, the little baby he once held with one arm, has now grown into a man even taller than him. Not only did he rise to the rank of general, but he also developed an obsessive love for him. Their reunion after more than 10 years apart wasn't pleasant. The young man was forcibly injected with a drug to change him from A to H and was held down for a temporary mark. Only then did the young man realize that the kid he'd always thought was a girl was actually a boy. He remembers their first meeting, when the little baby was squatting by the door crying. "Hey, why are you crying? Come here, let me hold you." As soon as he picked him up, he heard the little one's stomach growling with hunger, so he made him a big bowl of noodles. After that, he tended to his own wounds from his mission. The little one ran over and sweetly asked if it hurt, and he joked that a kiss would make it stop hurting, and the little one actually kissed him. He was so happy then, felt like he'd been healed by a little angel. Though the little one was sent to his home as a hostage, he was very dependent on and close to this stranger. He even asked in his sweet little voice to sleep together. The young man couldn't bear to refuse, so he picked up the little one with one hand and walked to the bed, and took out a rabbit his mother had sewn to cheer him up. The little one was so cute he naturally assumed it was a girl, so he gave up the bed and slept on the floor himself. Later something happened to his family, and he couldn't take the little one with him. The little one cried and begged him not to abandon him, but back then he could barely protect himself, and taking him along would have been a death sentence. "Sheng, don't leave me behind." The childish crying woke Xie Yusheng from his dream, and the pain at the back of his neck reminded him that Qi Wangji had just marked him. So everything Qi Wangji is doing to him now, is this revenge for not taking him along back then? Then he remembered he'd been injected with a drug, so is he really going to turn into a delicate old? Even if he becomes an old, he's got to find a way to escape first. As he picked up a vase to smash the glass window, a cute robot came running over to remind him. "I am household robot number 2633. This window uses high-density nanotechnology. A vase attack won't work and you might hurt yourself." Xie Yusheng threatened the robot. "If you keep yapping, I'll format you and yank out your battery." Suddenly he heard the door opening. "You've got some nerve showing your face." Furious, Xie Yusheng threw the vase right at Qi Wangji's head. What surprised him was that the leader of the lion squad couldn't even dodge a simple sneak attack. Qi Wangji touched his bleeding head, and the next second burst into tears like a little kid. Xie Yusheng was startled by his crying. "You're a grown man, why are you crying?" After hearing that, Qi Wangji pitifully told him it hurt. Xie Yusheng clenched his fists. "I got turned into an O and I didn't cry." "What do you have to cry about? Hold it in." Qi Wangji obediently stopped crying, but then came over to hug him and act cute. "Sheng, it hurts, kiss it better." Xie Yusheng's heart skipped a beat. Isn't that what he used to say to little Qi Wangji when they were kids? The strongest alpha on earth. At night his mind is only 6 years old. He cries easily and is super clingy. Even with his head cracked open and crying from pain, he still clings to him. Xie Yusheng doesn't understand what Qi Wangjia is trying to do. During the day he did such shameless things to him, and at night he dares to act cute like nothing happened. "You better believe I'll beat you up right now." Qi Wangji didn't say anything, but his big eyes quickly filled with tears. Then he buried himself in Xie Yusheng's arms, crying his heart out. "Sheng is being mean to me." This shameless attitude made Xie Yusheng even angrier. He raised his fist ready to punch, but the robot quickly ran over to intervene. "Sir, please show mercy. The master is only like this because he's sleepwalking." Xie Yusheng obviously didn't believe it. You ever seen someone sleepwalking who doesn't wake up after getting the head cracked open? The robot immediately pulled up Qi Wangji's medical records from recent years. The master has long sleepwalking disorder. Once he enters sleepwalking state, it's very hard to wake. If you don't believe me, listen to his breathing pattern. Yusheng listened carefully for a few seconds. It was indeed the steady and slow breathing pattern of someone asleep. The robot continued. "When the master sleepwalks, his intelligence and memory stay at around 6 years old, and you actually hit a defenseless child." Xie Yusheng glanced at the broken head in his arms. Whether it was his conscience bothering him or his inability to just leave him like this, he reluctantly bandaged Qi Wangji's wound. But that doesn't mean he forgave Qi Wangji for what he did to him. So he slapped Qi Wangji again. "Go back to your room and sleep tonight. Tomorrow when you wake up, we'll settle this." But Qi Wangji held on to him and refused to leave, insisting on sleeping with him like when they were kids. But Xie Yusheng wasn't falling for the cute act anymore. He expressionlessly dragged Qi Wang toward the door to toss him out. The robot indignantly called him a bad guy, and the next second he was also kicked out of the room. Qi Wangji stood dumbly at the door, finally curling up carefully by the door and falling asleep. The robot at the door tilted its little head. Why didn't the master take his sleepwalking medicine tonight? The next morning Xie Yusheng was back to tapping and banging around the room. The robot reminded him this room is completely sealed. Without the master's permission you can't get out. The former general and current international fugitive wasn't about to be trapped here, and the biggest obstacle to his escape was this robot that could transmit data and snitch. So he stuck the robot to the wall, then cheerfully yanked out its battery. After that he climbed into the ventilation duct in the ceiling. He just didn't expect the vent would pass through the conference hall. And even less that he was the main topic of this meeting. Boss has plenty of ways to help him. Why does he have to turn him into an O? This brings up Xie Yusheng's glorious past. At 17 he led the Lion Flag in wiping out the Eastern Rebel stronghold. At 18 he became the youngest general in Federation history. But the good times didn't last. His father was later framed and reported, and his parents died in that deliberate fire. Xie Yusheng, who was away on a mission, was accused of fleeing with the new drug EL, and a certain high-ranking official death. So for over a decade, all factions have been hunting Xie Yusheng, trying to test if he has EL samples and study them. Qi Wangjia obviously won't let that happen. "My identity is too high profile. The best way to protect him is to turn him into my O. But the A2O drug will not only change his appearance, but even if other factions suspect, They won't dare make a move given my rank as general. Though Xiao Yusheng knows Qi Wangjia is protecting him, thinking about becoming an O still doesn't sit right with him, and his eavesdropping was already seen through by Qi Wangji. He stopped pretending and jumped down from the vent. Looks like the couple has business to discuss. The red-haired and black-haired subordinates tactfully prepared to leave. The clueless blonde guy stood there ready to watch the show. Qing Yu kindly gave him a big punch, then expressionlessly dragged him out. Xiao Yusheng didn't think a few bowls of noodles he made for Tu Wangji as a kid would make Tu Wangji help him this much. Tie Wangji was frank. I'm rescuing you because I received orders from above. I'll provide you shelter, but you need to provide blood and tissue data every month. Xiao Yusheng agreed to cooperate, but he also had two conditions. First, he wants to join the Lion. Second, he wants to know who gave the order. Qi Wangjoy agreed to both, then handed Xiao Yusheng new identity information. The content was basically about his and Tu Wangji's love story. But what's the deal with this kid? What kind of soap opera plot is this? Where did we get a kid? Qi Wangji reassured him. This is written to make things more believable. Just memorize this. I'll handle the rest. What Xiao Yusheng didn't know was that he and Qi Wangji actually do have a child, and a very cute one too. Sheng acts cute asking for kiss, but then slaps Wangji afterward. At this moment, Qing Yi was drooling over Xiao Yusheng's photo. He's top grade, but I'm afraid the boss will kill me. The blonde guy came chasing over cursing. You just left my room and you're already picking your next target. And you got this huge board to choose from. Furious, he started banging his head against the board. I'll show you. I'll show you. Qing Yi is a cyborg and can't understand human emotions. But the blonde guy just happens to like this cyborg. When he warned Qing Yi not to go after anyone else, she got the same cold response as always. Remember to pay for my board. Just then Lin Xuan called. Get over here quick so we can take them on together. So both groups came to demand Ji hand over the person. Eagle Flag was on Xiao Yusheng's side. Sheng's case was a setup. I'd like to see who dares take him today. Bear Flag wasn't backing down either. We're here on behalf of General Shu to arrest someone. Anyone who tries to stop us better watch out. Qi Wangji couldn't hand over Shi Yusheng, but this standoff would only bring more suspicion. So he allowed both teams to search the room, but they'd have to deal with the consequences themselves. Bear Flag's people were first to open the door. The moment the door opened, a lion burst out and bit down on the shoulder of the guy who opened. But considering the lion belonged to Qi Wangji, the red-haired guy didn't dare order them to kill it. Qi Wangji called it off. Big cat, don't eat weird stuff. The lion immediately became obedient and stood to the side. Then a figure walked out of the room. The red-haired guy nervously put his men on alert. Eagle Flag's boss shouted Sheng. When he saw the person's face clearly, Eagle Flag's boss threw up on the spot. Bear Flag's side was also shot stiff. This dark and pockmarked person. How could this be the imposing general from their memory? Qing Yi hiding behind the small table with speech. How did he make himself this ugly? Ling Shuang was so bored he'd started growing mushroom. When are we actually going to fight? Don't let the ugly looks fool you. This thing is a master at acting cute. Oh, stop it, making me meet your friends this early. I'm not ready yet. Eagle Flag's people were so disgusted they turned and left. Bear Flag's boss was also disgusted but still persisting. How do you prove? He's your O. The ugly thing cutely tapped Qi Wangji's chest, then puckered up his bright red lips. At this moment Xiao Yusheng was cracking. You said I'm your O. It's your lie, so no matter how disgusting you better commit to it. Come on, kiss me already. But the next second he was kissed. The red-haired guy and his subordinates were shocked, and this kiss happened to trigger Xiao Yusheng's heat cycle. The strong wine scent forced the red-haired guy to believe this dark ugly thing really was an O. Besides the O's pheromones, Qi Wangji's pheromones also started spilling out, making everyone around struggle to breathe. Only cyborg Qing Yu and Beta Lin Xuan remained unaffected. Then Qi Wangji noticed Xiao Yusheng's disguise was wearing off. He pulled him into his arms, then glared coldly at Bear Flag's people. How much longer are you going to watch? Bear Flag's people had confirmed this person wasn't Xiao Yusheng, so they timidly left supporting their injured. Then Qi Wangji glared at Qing Yi hiding behind a small table. Qing Yi immediately grabbed Lin Xuan who was still growing mushrooms around. After everyone left, Xiao Yusheng slapped Qi Wangji across the mouth. You actually kissed that. You dare take advantage of me. Qi Wangji didn't argue back, just stared with his cute big eyes as Sheng pinched his face to vet. After pinching for a while, his anger subsided. Xie Yusheng turned and told the robot to bring the suppressant. The robot sitting by the lion eating fruit tilted its head. I don't know what you're talking about. Who would have thought the little baby who only knew how to act cute and ask for hugs would grow into a cold general who doesn't even know how to smile? At this moment, Qi Wangji bit down on Xie Yusheng's gland. Temporary marking is the most effective way to ease heat cycle pain, but Xie Yusheng struck hard, slamming Qi Wangji heavily against the wall. I only see you as a brother. Don't ever do that again. I already have someone I like. Xie Yusheng finished and went upstairs in a huff, while Qi Wangji sat lost and empty on the floor. The robot came over to comfort him. Master, didn't we agree not to make any sudden moves? In the room, Xiao Yusheng gave himself the suppressant, then picked up his communicator to check news about Qi Wangji, and his ugly photo was undoubtedly the biggest news. Oh come on, I don't believe Captain Q would fall for this ugly thing. You guys think Captain Q looks at his own gorgeous face every day but can't, so he found a partner who's the total opposite. Yusheng laughed so hard at this comment that tears were streaming down. Little guy, people think you're a total weirdo now. He strolled through the comments for a while. The smell of food wafted up from downstairs. He got up and followed the scent to the dining room. He caught the little guy eating alone. Why didn't you call him to eat together? Was he still mad about being hit earlier? Shi Yusheng didn't care whether Qi Wangji called him or not. He shamelessly sat down and started eating. This food was just too delicious. Qi Wangji didn't say anything. He just quietly watched his brother eat. Wang Qi had eaten his fill. He got up. You ate my food, so you gotta help me out. Come with me. The two of them were still in a cold war in the car. Xie Yusheng didn't understand how Qi Wangji's personality could be this stubborn. He must have picked up bad habits after going. In the end, he gave in first. Little guy, where are you taking me? Qi Wangji wasn't happy with that name. I'm not called little guy. I'm your alpha. You know what you should call me. Xiao Yushen couldn't say that out loud. I told you I already have someone in my heart. Qi Wangji immediately gave a convenient excuse. I know, but to everyone else we're lovers. I need you to play your part right. Don't make trouble for us. Xiao Yushen confidently assured him. If there are other people around, I can totally handle it with my acting. But when he saw they'd arrived at Qi Wangji's house, the flag he just planted was already starting to crumble. Young master, you're back. Is this your boyfriend? He looks way better in person than in photos. Seeing Xiao Yusheng hadn't responded, Qi Wangji gently reminded him. Brother, what about your acting? Xiao Yusheng snapped out of it and blurted out. What's up, honey? Qi Wangji's face turned red immediately. He called me honey. Xiao Yusheng wanted to slap himself. What was I thinking? The little girl excitedly led the new brother-in-law to meet Mom, but Mom's eyes stayed glued to the newspaper in her hands. How can she not see us? She said she was just a stepmother, so don't mind her. At the dinner table, Xiao Yusheng was on edge. What kind of family is this? No one talks. It's dead silent. Qi Wangji looked totally used to it. But the Qi Wangji he remembered wasn't like this. When Qi Wangji was at his house, he'd run over for a hug every time he came home. Then he'd cover his face with his little hands. Here comes the little warmer. You're not cold anymore. At meals, he'd chatter away about how good everything smelled. He himself grew up in a warm family, so he just assumed Qi Wangji's family was warm too. Before, he wondered why Qi Wangji's personality was so different from when he was little. He thought he'd found the answer now. His beloved bunny toy was taken away. The long silver hair his brother loved was cut off. The man demanded he forget about that waste. But the little baby fought back in his baby voice. You're the waste. After dinner, Qi Wangji clung to the door and wouldn't leave. I want to sleep with you. Xiao Yusheng shut the door on him. Outside, little Wang played the victim without missing a beat. Then I'll sleep on the floor outside the door. If my parents ask, I'll say they were too cold and made you mad, so you're punishing me to sleep on the floor. Xiao Yusheng was really scared of this little troublemaker. You can sleep inside, but like when we were kids. You take the bed, I take the floor. Qi Wangjai obediently agreed. Then he ran to the bathroom to shower. In the bathroom, he looked at his silver hair. His memory pulled him back to childhood. Brother Shang. They said my long hair makes me ugly. They called me a freak. His brother praised his long hair as beautiful and soft, and he taught those kids a lesson. You dare bully my little sister. Go run 5 laps around the garden. The red-haired kid protested. He's not a girl. You're playing favorites, Shang. He thought once his brother knew he was a boy, he wouldn't favor him anymore. But his brother doted on him just the same. Even if he has long hair and wears makeup, that's no reason for you to bully. Besides, his long hair looks great. Because of that one line, Qi Wangji kept his long hair. Except for that time he was forced to cut it as a kid. Meanwhile, the little sister came to visit. She showed Xiao Yusheng photos of Qi Wangji at different ages, and shared some of Qi Wangji's experiences growing up. When young master was born, he was very sick, so the lady raised him like a girl. After the lady passed away, he was sent to a rival commander's house, along with other officials, kids. He was a hostage, but I heard that commander's wife and son treated him really well. When that commander's family fell, young master was brought back home, but father thought he'd been spoiled. That very night he contacted the military training camp. Xiao Yushang, son of the rival commander, gasped. He was only 6 or 7 years old. He was so young. How could your father do that? The little sister could tell Xiao Yusheng felt for young master. She felt for him too. But no one can change father's decisions. Well, the camp commander had a scary, sinister face. Little Wangji cowered behind his father, begging him not to send him away. But his father slapped him hard, then forced him to stand alone in front of this terrifying man. General, are you certain you want to send your youngest son to the camp? Little Wangji kept begging his father with his eyes, but his father ignored him. With one look, his little bunny was taken away. His silver hair was cut off. His bow-tie clothes were torn, replaced by a stiff military uniform. No one cared about his heartbroken cries. The man stood before him and spoke coldly. From now on, you're part of the military. You have no loving family anymore. And definitely no Xiao Yusheng that way. Who'd have thought the sobbing little kid would suddenly stop crying? He looked up at the tall man and shot back in his baby voice. You're the waste. The little sister still got chills thinking about that moment, but the little kid said it with conviction. Xiao Yusheng was shocked to hear this too, but soon a smile spread across his face. How did he never notice the little dumpling was actually a wolf cub? The little sister turned to him. Young master suffered so much. You'll take good care of him, right? Xiao Yusheng chuckled softly and nodded. But that night, he couldn't sleep at all. He hadn't realized little Wangji suffered so much after leaving him. Suddenly something crawled into his blanket. The next second, Qi Wangji popped his head out. Here comes your little warmer brother Shai, looking at those big dumb eyes. He realized Qi Wangji was sleepwalking again. Qi Wangji held him tight. Don't leave me. I'll be good, brother Shang. He admitted he couldn't push Qi Wangji away like this. Looking at the young man sleeping in his arms, his chest ached. Back then, he and his mother raised little Wangji like a girl. Sweet, adorable, innocent. Who knew the very night he was taken away, he'd be sent to that devil, heaven to hell in one night. Just thinking about what little Wangji went through broke his heart. He kissed the boy's forehead. A kiss makes it better. Even though he still didn't know little Wangji's real reason for keeping him close. Whatever little Wangji wanted to do, he'd go along with it. Consider it paying back an old debt. The little baby fell for his brother at age 6. As he grew up, he used every method to keep his brother by his side. He even brought him home without hesitation. You've met the person I love, so stop worrying about my marriage. But his brother was clueless, and thought the little baby was using him as a shield. Be honest with me, do you have a crush on someone? Qi Wangji shyly looked down. Yeah, he's pretty cute, super popular. But he's dense and nosy. Saying this, he blushed and snuck a glance at Xiao Yusheng. He lectures people and he's kinda dumb. Xiao Yusheng looked like he'd figured it out. None of those traits matched him at all, so he made a bold guess. Little Wang Ji fell for a pretty Omega, but his parents didn't approve and other admirers were circling. To protect this Omega from being discovered and hurt, he had to push him out as a fake partner to draw fire. Xiao Yusheng finished his mental gymnastics and promised little Wang Ji, "Don't worry, I'll totally nail this mission," completely missing the confused look on little Wang Ji's face. Xiao Yusheng enrolled under the new name Bai Xiao. On his first day, he witnessed a crazy admirer. "Wang Ji, how could you be with someone else? If you don't break up with Bai Xiao today, I'll jump from here." Qi Wangji glanced at him and turned to leave. Seeing Qi Wangji didn't care, the admirer got more emotional. His voice got louder. Soon a crowd of students gathered. Is Captain Qi really not gonna care if he lives with that? Turns out Qi Wangji is that cold-blooded. Xiao Yusheng couldn't take it anymore. He asked Qi Wangji to go check on that Omega. After all, Qi Wangji was the team leader. If something really happened, it hurt his reputation. Just go up and say a few words to him. I'll handle the rest. Qi Wangji never refused his brother. He obediently walked up to the Omega. The Omega was thrilled. "Wangji, did you pick me?" But Qi Wangji didn't even know this Omega. The Omega frantically tried to jog his memory. "We're in the same class. I bring you lunch every day. You even help me in a mission." Qi Wangji replied flatly, "I get 250 lunches a day. Qing Yu eats them all. If you want them back, go ask him for cash. If saving you caused some misunderstanding, next time you're in danger, I can pretend I didn't see it." The Omega cried even louder than before. Xiao Yusheng decided to speed things up. He was worried the Omega would actually jump if this went on. He quietly pulled out his gear and climbed up the wall. In seconds, he was behind the Omega on the rooftop. Then he grabbed the Omega and flipped them both over the rail. He said, "If Qi Wangji doesn't get with you, you jump, right? Now if you jump, I'll let you have him. Deal?" The Omega looked behind him. He went weak in the knees and immediately backed down. "You won't jump? Well, I will." Xiao Yusheng jumped with the Omega. As they fell, he shouted, "Qi Wangji, I love you," even though he knew it was just for show. Qi Wangji took it seriously all by himself. Right before hitting the ground, Xiao Yusheng deployed a cushion. They both landed safely. The Omega was too scared to open his eyes and kept screaming. Xiao Yusheng patted his forehead to calm him down. The Omega yelled at Xiao Yusheng after nearly dying. But Xiao Yusheng just looked at him amused. "If you're that scared, don't try to jump next time." This guy seemed to be comforting him. The Omega's face turned red. He stormed off in a huff. The next second, Xiao Yusheng's voice echoed across camp. "My name is Bai Xiao. I live in Block 3 roommate. If you want to fight me for Qi Wangji, come find me in person." Little Wangji's heart fluttered again at his brother's boldness. "You'll never get away from me in this lifetime." After learning his brother liked fragile Omega, was willing to hurt himself in an explosion. Also, the person Xiao Yusheng always liked was actually little Wangji from years ago before he presented. Right now, Lin Shuang was busy reporting mission update, but Qi Wangji suddenly interrupted. "What kind of person do you think Xiao Yusheng likes?" Seeing no one had an answer, he ordered Qing Yu to pull up Xiao Yusheng's personality pool. It said Xiao Yusheng liked fragile, cute Omegas. The chance he'd like an alpha was 0.23%. Qi Wangji completely ignored the second part. Just then, Lin Shuan received urgent intel. "Boss, there are bombs at Blendy Plaza." Qi Wangji jumped up. Head to the scene immediately. Soon, all the bombs in the plaza were defused. But a tiny bomb was just detected right behind Qi Wangji. "Boss, get out. It's about to explode." But Qi Wangji just stood there frozen. He remembered the profile said Xiao Yusheng liked fragile Omega. Outside the dorm, Qing Yu urged Qi Wangji to go to the hospital. Qi Wangji ignored her, bleeding and injured. He headed straight for Xiao Yusheng's dorm. Qing Yu was confused by Qi Wangji's behavior. Self-preservation and fear of death are human instincts. But the boss's actions just now went against those instincts. In the dorm, Qi Wangji pitifully called out for his brother, and his injuries successfully won his brother's sympathy. Xiao Yusheng brought out the medkit and treated Qi Wangji's wounds one by one. After his wounds were stitched up, Qi Wangji insisted, "Why won't you listen? If you move around, the wound we just stitched will tear open. You're not taking a bath." But Qi Wangji was dead set on bathing. Xiao Yusheng couldn't talk him out of it, so he thought about getting a robot to help. When the robot said it was charging, "Can't work right now." Left with no choice, he had to help Qi Wangji himself. Watching his brother's practice technique, Huayanji spoke up with a hint of jealousy. "You're so good at this. Have you done this for lots of people?" Xiao Yusheng laughed in exasperation. "Besides you, I bathed all 3 of the other kids." It's not that he didn't want to help Anji bathe. It's just that he always thought Anji was a girl back then. That's why he never helped. But Qi Wangji remembered this to this day. "So are you gonna make up for what you owe me? You went out and found all those other brothers and sisters. Did you ever think about me? Even though you left me behind, you're all I have." These words, almost like a confession, made Xiao Yusheng's heart race. The next second, he threw a towel over Qi Wangji's head. "What are you babbling about? Hurry up, dry off and get to bed." Even though his tone was flat, his awkward gait leaving the room, the show did his words had quite an effect on him. Did something go wrong with how he raised him? Meanwhile, Qi Wangji was regretting his behavior just now. He really had nothing soft about him. His brother only liked the childhood version of Qi Wangji. It's not like he hadn't tried before. But even after failing, he was still stuck on it. The next day, while Qi Wangji was out, but he couldn't get the password right no matter what. Finally, he just threw caution to the wind and entered his own password. It actually worked. The files he was looking for were about a beautiful young man. Years ago, he saved a gorgeous kid. The two of them shared a wonderful time together. He developed feelings for the boy. But later they got separated. What he didn't know was that the boy he liked was standing right behind him. "What are you looking for?" Xiao Yusheng quickly cleared his search history. He claimed he was just looking at funny posts online. Qi Wangji gave him a subtle warning. "If you're lying to me, I won't go easy on you." Xiao Yusheng laughed it off. I'm really not lying. Class is about to start. Let's go. During class, the teacher talked their head off. Xiao Yusheng slept like a rock. He finally made it to lunch break. Someone even made him a lunchbox. Brother looking for a wife for his little gets kissed by said brother in public, then gets dragged to the civil affairs. Huang Mao got extreme enough to jump off a building because someone egged him on. After he figured it out and went to Hong Bao to make his position clear. I'll never give Xiao Yusheng any more trouble. Then he made a lunchbox to apologize to Xiao Yusheng. Xiao Yusheng ruffled Huang Mao's hair with amusement. This kid's pretty cute. Even though Huang Mao lost Huang Mao as a pawn, she still had plenty of pawns to use. So the next day, countless admirers surrounded Xiao Yusheng's dorm. We're all admirers of Captain Qi. Either give up Captain Qi or we'll scratch up your face. Shisha. Wu Ya Yusheng looked at the huge crowd with a troubled expression. Don't back down. Xiao Yusheng suddenly had an idea. Then he told Lin Shuan to give each admirer a number. Lin Shuan's brain froze. What's this guy planning? When Qi Wangji came back from his mission, he saw Lin Shuan squatting by the door. A long line had formed outside. He walked over and asked Lin what was going on. Lin Shuan gestured for him to look inside. Yusheng was holding some paperwork. The girl stammered nervously. I'm gentle and pretty. I can cook and then do laundry. My Wangji is a great cook too. Are you ready to face hundreds or thousands of rivals every day? Worry about can go on all kinds of dangerous missions. Love and care for him. Put up with his germophobia. And most importantly, are you ready to spend your life with a man pretty new? The girl's confidence was completely shattered by these words. She rather out crying. Xiao Yusheng casually called out toward the door next. Qi Wangji walked up with a blank expression. Xiao Yusheng smugly waved the resume in his hand. I'm screening future partners for you. To match our Anji, they've gotta be. Before he could finish, Tianji silenced him with a kiss. The admirers immediately wailed in despair. Qiu Anji cast a cold look toward the door. He's my lifelong marked partner and the one I plan to spend my life with. If you keep causing trouble, I'll revoke your graduation eligibility. The admirers felt both resentful. Not only were they force-fed dog food, they were also openly threatened. That evening, Qiu Wangji made a table full of home cooked. These dishes tasted exactly like the ones Xiao's mother used to make. Xiao Yusheng was both moved and surprised. Anji, how do you know how to make these? I'd always watch and learn from the side. Xiao Yusheng's heart sank. The guilt about abandoning Anji surged up again. I'm the one who wronged you. I didn't take you with me back then. I thought sending you home was the best choice. I never imagined you'd be sent to the youth army that very night. Whatever you want to do, I'll go along with it. Consider it making up for what you missed as a kid. What Xiao Yusheng didn't know was that Qi Wangji never resented him. But since his brother said that, he'd obviously push his luck. So whatever I asked for, you'll agree. Xiao Yusheng confidently gave himself a thumbs up. Your brother's word is his bond. But when Qi Wangji brought him to the Civil Affairs Bureau, shattered into pieces. Xiao Xixi, didn't you say you had someone you liked? If you marry me, what about that person? Qi Wangji looked deeply into Xiao Yusheng's eyes. No one can replace you in my heart. This is the only way to make sure you won't leave me. Are you going back on your word now? Qi Anji's face fell. His eyes teared up as he pouted. Xiao Yusheng's head was about to explode. Why are kids these days so hard to deal with? He made a final compromise. As long as we don't register the marriage, I'll go on with whatever you say. Qi Anji's lips curved into a strange smile. Then he brought Xiao Yusheng to a mysterious shop. The little brother tattooed his own name on his brother's left ventricle. What bad intentions could Anzai have? He just tattooed the character Wang on his brother's left ventricle. But the location made Xiao Yusheng blush just looking at it. How can you tattoo it there? Put your clothes back on. Qi Wangji's face changed and he ran toward the door in a huff. Xiao Yusheng quickly grabbed him. If you don't want to, why'd you stop me? In your heart, your parents, Xiao Yuli and the Federation, even your missions, and those kids you're raising outside are all more important than me. The character's tattooed on. But there's never been a place for me in your heart. So Xiao Yusheng felt a bitter ache inside. Such a brilliant person. How could he have such humble thoughts? Was it his family environment? In the end, he couldn't stand to see Anzi upset. Qi Wangji's eyes darkened as his scheme succeeded. I made you compromise for me again. Even though he agreed readily just now, when it came down to it, Xiao Yusheng still felt embarrassed. Is it because of the mixed blood that it's so prominent? Qi Wangji looked very satisfied. The courage of my brother tattooed himself. It's like a dog marking its territory. From now on, I belong to you. Xiao Yusheng said he didn't want this kind of territory. But despite his tough talk, he couldn't help pressing his hand over his left ventricle. It really did feel like his territory had been marked. Since it was still early, Xiao Yusheng took Qi Wangji to the amusement park. To this day, Qi Wangji was still a kid in his eyes. So he ignored all the adult rides and brought Wangji to the children's area. They were stopped at the entrance by staff. Oh, sorry. Adults aren't allowed inside. Xiao Yusheng immediately pulled out the boss's badge from Qi Wangji's eye. We're here on official business. The staff member saw it and welcomed them in with a smile. Qi Wangji stared at his brother's move. So that's how you use the badge. But looking at the room full of kids, he just couldn't get into it. But Xiao Yusheng was having a blast. He seriously suspected his brother wanted to play, not take him to play. Finally, at his brother's eager insistence, he sat on the carousel with zero enthusiasm. A kid wasn't happy about it. This place is for kids only. Xie Yusheng pointed at Qiwangji without missing a beat. Can't you tell he's a kid? The kid saw, yeah right. Even worse, his lollipop got snatched. Looking at the lollipop in front of him, Qianji's face screamed rejection. I don't eat candy, especially stolen from a kid. Xiao Yusheng didn't care and shoved the lollipop into Qiwangji's mouth. I didn't snatch it. The kid clearly gave it to us. Completely ignoring the kid whose head he's holding, crying and yelling, give me back my candy. After bullying the kid, Xiao Yusheng was in great spirits as he took Wang Ji to the next stop. Then Wang Ji was drawn to a couple's game. Xiao Yusheng was resistant to this kind of lovey-dovey activity. NG's eyes instantly welled up. But that prize looks like the pink bunny you gave me when I was little. The youth army people took it away later. We're playing right now. Whatever bunny you want, I'll win it back for you. The rules were simple. The fastest pair wins a bunny plushie. As soon as the starting gun locked, Qiwangji scooped up Xiao Yusheng and bolted. Wang Ji was so hot. His brother was actually hugging him, but this wonderful day was ruined by a whale shark. The couple had just started, but Xiao Yusheng had already bitten the gummy bear. After Qianji quickly carried him back to the finish line, he immediately passed the candy over with his mouth, then turned to look at the host. That big dumb bunny's ours. He completely didn't notice Jiang was still red-faced, touching his lips. This was the first time his brother kissed him on purpose. So much so that when confirming the mailing address with staff, he still felt like he was dreaming. After Xiao Yusheng eagerly dragged him to the next stop, anything a kid could play, Xiao Yusheng took him through it all. Finally, still not satisfied, he took him to the aquarium. Qiwangji clearly felt his brother, since entering the amusement park, was super excited. This made him curious. You seem really into all this stuff. Did Mrs. Xia never take you before? Come to think of it, when I lived at your place, I never saw you go out during breaks either. When Xiao Yusheng heard this, his eyes rarely showed a hint of helplessness and nostalgia. Back then, I took jobs day and night. I kept thinking if I worked more, Dad wouldn't have to send Yuli to suffer in the special ops too. He'd always been frail. If Yuli were still alive. Qianji comfortingly held Xie Yusheng's hand. Then today do whatever you want. I'll stay with you. Xie Yusheng's heart skipped a beat. He quickly changed the subject, pointing at the big tank ahead. Look what a huge fish. When Qiwangji looked over, his brow furrowed. This whale shark seems too big. Just then, the whale shark slammed into the tank. Qiwangji jumped up and shouted at the crowd, stop staring and get out. The stunned crowd finally snapped out of it and ran for their lives. By then, the whale shark had reached the viewing area. Its huge jaws were lunging at Xiao Yusheng, who was holding a child.